Perez Hilton. What an unfortunate tragedy that happened on a live TikTok. A man cutting himself, gashing his body. And I've heard about people cutting themselves in life, and it's different reasons why they do that, but it's sad and it's unfortunate. Um, don't know too much about the guy. Heard he has some history with talking about celebrities, gossiping about them, and uh, recently sold his $4 million house, or it's on the market, but it seemed like he has some affluence. Um, but I guess some things are happening in his life that is tough to deal with, what was going on, and he just went off. Just something that was just pretty dastardly, pretty sad. But what was going on with him? I don't know, right? But for someone to do something like that to themselves, something must be going on within themselves. So stresses that surround them is hard to handle. It's hard to deal with. And there's people that can handle certain things, easier to handle certain things, stress, hard times. Others not so easy. But ultimately, we all have a choice on how we choose to respond when we go through real tough things, times in life. We choose how we will respond to it. But the better we are internally, the better we can handle things that happen to us externally, right? So something was wrong on the inside with him. Something is bothering him. There's maybe it could be trauma that's there. There's just bad thoughts, bad ideas, just negative things that's within him that will lead him to do something like that. Some depression, maybe suicidal thoughts, obviously, more likely with what he was doing. See that very likely. But his spirit seemed like it wasn't right. So a lot of people would tell some people, you got a really nice spirit. You got a bad spirit, right? Even people who are atheists who don't believe in God would say, you have a good or bad spirit. What does that mean? And typically people would probably say, well, personality, character, ways about you. And how do we have these ways that are about us? How do we have a clean spirit, or a cleaner spirit, or more spirit that's pretty unclean? And there's different factors: genetics, environmental exposures, but also it's what we allow ourselves to absorb, assimilate, and digest every single day. By the people that we're around, the people that we talk to the most, the things that we watch, listen to. It can mess or have an influence on our spirit, right? And some people will probably say, yeah, he's going through mental issues and his trauma and all these things, and those are all very likely a reality. But as a Christian, and I do believe every word of Jesus, the most truthful man of all time, honest man of all time, when the word declares, he mentioned multiple times about people who have demons, right? Now, I'm not saying that Perez Hilton doesn't have any trauma or mental issues. Of course, that all goes without saying. But Jesus also is saying that there's something that's even deeper than just that there are people who have unclean spirit. It was a spirit, a demonic spirit. Was it a dude? Does it possess you to the point where you cannot control your own body? Some people would say yes. I don't really agree with that. I would say it's a force, some sort of entity that operates within you, that has you now inclined to do certain things that's not particularly healthy. You still have control of yourself. You have free will. We all do. It's like people who are exposed to ideas and certain principles in life and influences or peer pressure. You choose whether or not you allow these outward influences affect you, right? It's like reading a book. You take information, you choose whether or not you want to inculcate the information that's in the book. You see a certain food or drink, and there's a nutrition facts. You choose whether or not you want to partake of those ingredients that are proven to be healthy and some not proven to be healthy, and it will become a part of you and affect your biochemistry, how your body digests and processes it, and how it operates in your blood and your cells, right? It'll either help to bring your body to a better state, or it'll break down your body, right? But very interesting couple of verses here in the Bible. Matthew 5, verse 2 to 5. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately, this is Jesus coming out of the ship, there came out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. So he was in he was in the tombs. The tombs are associated with death and darkness and gloom. You hang out in dead places enough, hanging out around dead people enough. I'm talking about people who are just dead, no purpose, no drive, don't want to get closer to God, don't want to learn anything great, don't want to do anything great with their time. Dead places where people are doing the same old mediocre, mundane things over and over again. You will come out with an unclean spirit. You know, wonder why people are so miserable and violent and angry and aggressive and suicidal, all these things. They are hanging around dead people at dead places too often. He was in the tombs. He came up with an unclean spirit. He had his dwelling among the tombs. No man can bind him, no, not with chains. He had been bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him. The fetters broken to pieces, neither can any man tame him. Oh my God, there's people out here who are reckless, who are wild, who are crazy out here, man. And they're just the police can't hold them. You know, I mean, they get arrested, and some of them they get locked up, and they find a way to leave the prison and find a way out, or they go to a mental institution, and then they get discharged, and they go off and do the same thing over again that they got in trouble with before. People go back to jail, prison for the same crime or similar crime. The people who are just beating their spouse and beating their kids, and you know, and people talking to them. You got these teenagers that the parents are trying to talk to them, and they're out here wilding out. They're just not being tamed. What we do with dogs, man? Animals, we tame them. You wild, you get tamed. People are no different. They're wild. They're wild out here, man. Why? Because there's an unclean spirit that's operating within them, and for different reasons, it's hard to get his people tamed. We all got to be tamed. I'm not saying be controlling. I'm saying we all need to be control of our bodies, our vessels, because what we do affects other people, for better or for worse. And always night and day he was in the mountains in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. This guy was cutting himself with stones. What was Perez Hilton doing? Cutting himself. What was this guy was bound with? An unclean spirit. And what am I convinced that Perez Hilton had or has? Unclean spirit. What kind of dead places was he possibly hanging out? What kind of dead content, dead entertainment, dead people he was surrounding himself with? What, I wonder. Because if you don't deal with what you want to call an evil spirit, and or unprocessed trauma, unprocessed grief, stress, whatever it is, if that's not properly dealt with, it will lead to you doing something that is not healthy. Unclean people, unclean spirits operating in you will lead you to do unhealthy things. But likewise, if you have a clean spirit, a clean vessel, clean mind, you're going to be doing healthy things. We always got to make sure that the inside of ourselves, our soul, our mind, our emotions, are all intertwined together, that they are clean, that they are right, because they will affect our decisions and how we handle pressure when life brings its pressures. All right, y'all. God bless you. I love you. Pray for Perez Hilton. Pray for him. And I hope that he gets well, gets better, and does whatever it takes to have a clean spirit. All right, y'all. I love you. Much love.